names, bank, their use, parents, and sometimes the parents of the parents. It was a big the record was a big JSON file with many information about a person and this person's parents, and sometimes the parents of the parents, with many sensitive data such as national ID numbers or full names, bank they used to pay for the service that they needed, how much they paid, the transaction ID. That was the most important part of the transaction that happened there. Yeah. I found it by accident, actually. I was just working on another project for my work. It just popped up as a second result in the Google query that I did. It was an exception on the URL. There was something wrong with it. And while I was Googling for an error that I found in one of the web applications that I was testing, so I was just interested as to why this happens. And yeah, I just changed one line from a word to a number, and just data started showing up. So it was completely accidental. The URL had a word in it, register, instead of a number. It was expecting to have a number. So I just turned it to right, like I changed the word to a number, and it was actually the record of a person from Bangladesh. So, and as you increment the number, more records would show up. From some samples that I got, or I saw actually in the API, the applications were from 2021. Maybe there was a system migration, and they were I don't know, maybe beginning of this year or last year. I really cannot know how long they were out there, but the data that were in the API they were back from 2021, the latest. There should be enough time for someone to find the leak. These exposed data, they could have downloaded them. I didn't test the web application itself because I'm not allowed to. I didn't do this on purpose. The big weakness is that there was no authorization mechanism. There was no such mechanism. So even without a token or without anything, one could just see the data. So it was just really an authorization issue. To see all of the data, definitely an admin should be able to see all of those data, or just the person that did the application should be able to see their own application record. So yeah, that's the biggest issue, or actually the main weakness in this story. The thing is that the phone that one would use for the OTP for the 2FA was also leaked through the API. So there are ways for criminals to bypass the OTP. APIs are pretty important because they transfer a lot of data. Basically the developer's responsibility to actually enforce mechanisms that will not allow such leaks and expose data. Security awareness during the development process. So it's generally the whole life cycle of software development that was faulty, I guess. Contacted them, sent an email, and I sent another one in the same email address the next day. I found another email address where I sent them this email as well. I think for 3, 4, maybe 5 days, I didn't get a reply. And in the meantime, I would send the emails almost on a daily basis. And yeah, never got a response back. So I then spoke with a TechCrunch reporter. I haven't had any communication with anyone that's in a governmental position. because they fixed it now, but it wasn't like they were interested into finding out how I found it or hear it from my side. They just happened to somehow find out and fixed it on their own.